Hello, my creepers. It is Creepiness here, back again with another video. Hi, how's it going? I hope everyone has been doing wonderful this spooky month. And as you know that it is going to be Friday soon, which is Halloween Day, which is basically my favorite day of the month. Well, technically October is my favorite month of all time, but fun fact about your creepiness, I got married on Halloween. Yes, this ghoul is married. Did I think it was unusual? Yes, but is it? No. Apparently, a lot of people got married on Halloween, which is cool. Very cool. If you are new to the channel, my name is Creepiness, and I try to talk about anything horror movie related to horror things, which I will get to soon. Promise. But there's just so many horror movies in the world that are being forgotten, and I like to bring them back into light. But of course, in every video, I like to ask y'all a question, which this question is: do you believe in the paranormal? I like to start off by saying yes, I've always believed in the paranormal. I've actually had a few encounters myself, which if you want to know about them, I would definitely tell you my stories about them. And I don't discredit people as saying there's always a rational explanation, because there is. But once you see something and you feel it in your gut, I'd rather go with my gut than my mind, honestly, with that. But me asking you this question, and you can tell by the title, we are actually going to talk about one of the infamous movies called 13 Ghosts. I'm going to give you a little clip version of what the movie's about, but I'm actually going to tell you 5 stories behind these 5 ghosts. And this is going to be your warning right now. These stories do contain either suicide, body disorders, or any sexual backgrounds from these ghosts. So, like I said, this is your warning right now, just to be respectful for everyone that is listening to this video. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the clip notes. So the main villain, his name is Cyrus. So Cyrus was basically going to different locations and handpicking out earthbound spirits who represent the zodiac signs. He had to pick 13 ghosts, but the matter of fact that he only picked out 12 ghosts because the 13th ghost was supposed to be his nephew, who is currently still alive. When he was picking out the 12th ghost, he ended up faking his death and leaving all his inheritance to his nephew, which was basically a trap. The inheritance involved a glass mansion in the middle of nowhere, which was very appealing to Arthur due to the fact that they were living in a small apartment with his 2 kids and the nanny. As soon as they arrived at the mansion, things started to get crazy. One by one, each ghost was let out of its containment and started roaming around. So the mansion was basically a huge machine that Cyrus has built on the illustration of a man who was possessed, and it is called the Oculus Infernal, which aka means the eye of hell. They're going through this house and seeing all the Latin scriptures that are around the house. There are these special glasses that they need to be able to see these ghosts, and actually whenever they put the glasses on, they also see additional protection spells all over. Cyrus was also having help with a psychic named Dennis, who ends up going to the house, being trapped in there with them as he was trying to warn them about Cyrus's plan and what he was doing. But that is the end of the clip notes. Now we are going into the ghosts, which I'm going to tell you all their names right now. So we have the Torn Prince, the Jackal, the Hammer, the Angry Princess, the Pilgrimese, the Great Child and the Dire Mother, the Torso, the Bound Woman, the Wither Lover, and the last one is the Juggernaut. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and tell you 5 of these ghost stories. So the first one we have is the Hammer. His human name was George Markley. He was an honest, hardworking blacksmith, but being the only colored person in town with his family, he was easily framed for theft, which ended up letting his family be murdered after standing up for himself and refusing to move out of town with so much grief and wanting to get revenge. So he hunts them down and ends up killing them with his sledgehammer. The town ended up finding out about it, and they hunt him down, tied him to a tree, and started pounding railroad spikes all over his body with his sledgehammer. He was the 10th member of the Black Zodiac, and he represents the Capricorns, as in the stubbornness, unforgiving, impulsive, and brutal traits of them. And then we got the Wither Lover. So her human name was Jane, and this was actually Arthur's wife, who was severely burned. She was taken to the hospital and she passed away there. So what happened is that one of the fireplace logs rolled under the Christmas tree and caught fire. Arthur grabbed the kids first thinking that Jane already went outside to safety, but she did not. Cyrus went to the hospital and took her spirit. When they went to the glass mansion, she felt them. She tried her best to protect him from the malicious spirits around, for she was the only innocent and kind one there. She actually represents the Cancer trait, which is compassion, sensitivity, and the emotional nature. When I first watched the movie and I found out that was his wife and everything, because you can kind of get hints whenever she's trying to help Bobby, which is her youngest son. I honestly would beat my uncle up. Like, he does die at the end, but still, like, I would try to resurrect him, kill him again, resurrect, kill him again, because, like, you don't do that. You just don't. That's horrible. Yeah. So before I get any angry at that part, we are on to the next one, which is the bound woman. So her human name was Susan Legros. Susan was from a rich family and was one of the popular girls in school. Of course, she was the captain of the cheerleading squad, but she had a reputation as a heartbreaker. And in her senior year, she ended up dating the captain of the football team, Chet. You really don't hear that name anymore, huh? But anyways, so as she was dating Chet, she also wanted more attention and ended up cheating on him. On the night of prom night, Chet caught them and started hitting her lover to death. Then he tied Susan up before strangling her with his tie and breaking her neck. And of course, Chet ended up getting onto the death row. But before they executed him, he did say that bitch cheated on me. But guys, I am very offended by this because she represents the Gemini, because the Gemini is a two-face. I am a Gemini, and I can tell you my two faces, I can be serious, and then I also can be very quirky and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I kind of take offense to that. But hey, it's the movie's Black Zodiac version, I guess. But all right, so the next one we have is the Angry Princess. Her name was Diane Newman, and this is actually another tragic tale. She was considered the most beautiful woman by many people, but she always saw imperfection in herself, so she did suffer from a body disorder. She went through a terrible time having multiple boyfriends and having them abuse her a lot, which lowered her self-esteem. She ended up working with a lot of surgeons, and instead of paying her with a paycheck, they paid by doing work on her. She got multiple things done, as in breast implants, nose surgery, and multiple face procedures, but she still saw imperfection. One night she was alone in her bathroom. She looked at the mirror and saw the imperfections. She ended up grabbing one of the scalpels that she took home and started performing surgery on herself, which led one of her eyes being blind. That pushed her over the edge, and she ended up committing suicide in her bathroom tub. So she was the sixth member of the Black Zodiac, and she represents the Virgos for being overcritical, insecurity, overthinkers, and perfectionists to a fault. Alrighty, we are down to our last one, which is the Jackal. So his name was Ryan and born sometime in the 1887. He was a raging misogynist with a crazy addiction, lust for women. He spent his life as a sexual predator with tendency to attack and murder random women late at night. Yeah, no, he was freaking crazy. And first, I didn't even think it was a he until I started reading his backstory. Because clearly it looks like a girl, but the story kind of explains why he looks like that. So he started to see his animalistic tendencies were severe and committed himself into the asylum. None of the treatments were successful, and he started losing grip on reality and attacking people. He was constantly put into a straitjacket and tightened so much to where his limbs were bent and contort. Every time he escaped, he would scratch walls so violently that he would shed skin and nails off his hands, and it caused him to have a claw deformity. Then one night the asylum caught fire, and he chose to stay to be burned alive. He represents the Aquarius trait of extremism, rebellion, and lack of empathy. But honestly, it feels really wrong to associate him with any sign because, he's pure evil. He was born evil and pure evil, kind of like Freddy Krueger. But that is it for this video. I talked about the 5 ghosts, and if you want to know the other rest of their stories, just keep liking this video, comment down below, and let me know. And like I said, watch the movie. It is a very notorious movie called The 13th Ghost, and it has hottie Matthew Lillard in there, just saying. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, listening, and y'all have a very good Halloween. Stay safe and stay tuned. Bye.